The Walking Dead, episode 5. It's called Go-Getters. Thought it was quite an interesting title. I know there's a line in it where Simon from Negan's gang, you know, the Saviours, Simon with his groovy moustache, and I kind of like Simon. Yeah, he's funny. But he relates to Rick's gang as the Go-Getters. So that's where the title comes from, clearly. But this episode really is all about Maggie and Sasha. And the episode is obviously Maggie's trying to recover. The baby's fine, it survived. You know, she had something wrong with the pancreas, apparently. Or not the pancreas, the placenta. But, yeah, I mean, the good thing about this episode is that it really kind of gave me what I want from Maggie. At this stage is I didn't want Maggie to be a whimpering wreck, just like I said when I talked about episode 1. And she didn't disappoint. I mean, she really puts Gregory in her place. You know, Gregory from the hilltop, that arsehole who lives in that mansion. She really puts him in his place. And that guy, I mean, he's funny. I mean, he might be an absolute arsehole, but he's really, really funny. But this is really showing Maggie as the character she's growing to become, you know? Does that make sense? She's growing into a character. She's a born leader, and that's as simple as that. And even Jesus, who's in this episode as well, he keeps hinting towards the fact that Maggie is the future of the hilltop, and she's going to be the leader, and Gregory will either stand down, he'll be forced out, or he'll probably be killed. I don't know. But I think the greatest example of how Maggie is in this episode is the gates to Hilltop get pushed open, and a stereo is playing music, and this small horde of walkers come into the Hilltop. And I mean, Maggie's in no shape to fight. So Sasha goes out, and she's fighting these walkers on her own, you know, stabbing away, and she's got to shut the music down and so on. So what Maggie does is, because she can't fight him, she climbs on top of her, what do you call them, a little caravan, or whatever it is. If you're American, tell me what they're called. I can't remember what they're called. Trailer. And she climbs on top, and she just starts telling people what to do, like this. Jesus, go and help Sasha. So Jesus does his ninja thing and slides down a pillar from the mansion. He slides down and starts doing flying karate kicks and running up walls like the Matrix. And it was brilliant. And Maggie's telling these other guys, saying, you go and sort the gate out, you go and sort that out. And it was a really great moment. It was only like 5 minutes, but it was a brilliant moment showing us what Maggie's capable of, you know, and the leader that she's going to become. It was fantastic. I loved it. Again, what a brilliant episode of The Walking Dead. Now, I mentioned Simon earlier on, and he comes in, and he's basically come there to tell Gregory that Gregory's usual liaison from the Saviours, they're all dead. And Gregory's like, what? Who did that? Because if you remember, Gregory made a deal with Rick, and Rick said, look, we're going to take care of the Saviours, and then we do deals with you from then on. Now, obviously, we know now that was only a small band of the Saviours at an outpost. Anyway, Simon and a gang of Saviours have come to question Gregory about what's going on. And thus ensues just Simon acting a bit crazy. And like I say, I kind of like him. And there's even a bit where he says to Gregory, he says, look, I'm your Negan. I'm your Negan now. And I really kind of like that idea. I like the idea, but Simon likes the idea because he's now the liaison to the Hilltop. But it's brilliant. It's a good little bits of script there, because Simon is a funny guy, especially when Gregory goes into this cupboard. Jesus actually thinks that he's going to grasp Sasha and Maggie up. Excuse me. I just had a wonderful Chinese tonight. But instead he opens the booze cupboard and he pulls out this like ancient bottle of whiskey, and Simon looks at it and goes, I like gin. So he just goes there, picks the box up and walks out. Now, with regards to Alexandria, we don't really see much of Alexandria. At the beginning, earlier on in the episode, we see that Rick's still panicking, and he's going to go out on a scavenge hunt for when Negan visits next time. You know, it's just going to keep him happy. Now, while this is going on, you've got Coral. Coral is a bit pissed off with his dad because his dad's been a bit of a wimp. Michonne tries to kind of make Cal feel better, kind of reassure him and just say, look, at the end of the day, your father cares about his friends and his family, and that's why he's making these decisions, because he doesn't want anybody else to die. Now, of course, Cal, in all his wisdom, like I said, he isn't particularly happy about this. So him and Enid decide to go for walkies. They find some roller skates on the side of the road. They have a nice little roller skater holding hands down the street, and in other words, yes, these two young kids do like each other, and they're going to be like best buds from now on. And there's even an exchange of kisses as well, which I thought was quite sweet. Anyway, cut long story short, right at the end, Maggie says to... no, not Maggie, Sasha says to Jesus, I want you to follow Negan's gang and find out where he lives. You know, but keep it between us, we won't tell Maggie. So Jesus is like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Because he's a ninja. So Jesus finds his way onto the back of one of the trucks, and guess who's on the back of the truck? Fucking Carl. Cool. And Jesus is actually quite impressed with him as well, which I quite like. You know, so he's like, oh yeah, you're with me as well. Come on then, lad. Let's go and scope out these guys. Let's find out what's going on. So all in all, it was a really good, easygoing episode. I mean, there was no brutality in this episode, which I really, really liked. It was nice to kind of not feel on the edge all the time, which is kind of what you get from when Negan's there. You know, you always feel like you're on edge and he's going to hit someone. It's like, oh, not again. And because I'm getting a bit tired of it now. I mean, if you remember from my last video, if you watched my last video, you'll see that I like Negan's character, but I just want a bit of evolution. You know, I want a bit of evolution in what's going on. And I know it's only episode 5, but you know, I really want something to sink my teeth into. It's like we've seen all the shocking stuff already from the first episode. So I want evolution of character, and that's exactly what this episode gave me, is a good evolution of character. And it also kind of presented us to Simon a bit more as well, and like I say, I like him, and it's good to be reminded of Gregory. Now, what's going to happen next week? Once again, I haven't watched the trailer. However, I've heard these mentions online, and we're obviously going to catch up with Tara and Heath, because they've been gone all this time. They've been gone a couple of weeks. So they're clearly going to come back now, and they have no idea what's been going on. They don't know that Glenn's gone. She doesn't know that lesbian Denise is gone. Who cares about Heath? Not really that interested about him, really. Now, what I have done is I've done a bit of homework in regards to the comics. Now, obviously in the comics, they're in regards to timelines. Let's call them issues. They're like 60 issues ahead of us in regards to what's going on. And there's this group of people now called the Whisperers. And what the Whisperers are is that the Whisperers are a bunch of psychopaths who essentially walk around in zombie skins. So they blend in with the zombies. The funny thing is, when I heard about this, I thought, well, it's not very wise, because what if someone comes along and starts shooting all the zombies? Then you're dead as well, Whisperer. But apparently these are pretty savage guys. So, and I'd like the Whisperers to turn up at some point in this season. If not, it'll be like the big cliffhanger at the end of the season. But I want them to turn up just to kind of give the Negan and the Saviours and Rick's boys and Hilltop a common enemy. So regardless of the relationships between everyone, I want a common enemy there. An enemy that you can't see coming. And that's obviously what the Whisperers are, because you'll never see them coming because they're permanently in disguise as zombies. So for me, I want that to start building up now, because yeah, it's inevitable we're going to get a Rick and Negan confrontation again. It's inevitable that at some point everyone's going to come together and fight the Saviours, and there's going to be loads of casualties. That's what's going to happen. We know it's going to happen, but we want something that drags more character out of everyone, you know? Because once again, I'm sick of seeing Rick act like a pussy, but then again, I love seeing Maggie act like a badass, like we've just seen now. I really like Jesus' character. I like Gregory. I like Sasha. I like Rosita. I mean, I hate Dwight. But there's another kind of bit of homework I did, is that in the comics, Dwight actually becomes a turncoat. So he actually ends up working for Rick, and he's a spy for Rick at the Sanctuary. So I wonder if that's going to happen in the future of The Walking Dead. I hope it does, because it'll be interesting to see how Dwight and Daryl's character are at that point. So I really look forward to that. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I really enjoyed this episode. Like I say, it was really refreshing to watch. It did kind of just make me feel a bit more relaxed, and it's always nice to see Maggie on screen. Even if she looks rough as hell, she's still gorgeous. And Sasha's a brilliant character as well. So I love this episode. I can't wait to see the next episode, as ever, really. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch an episode of Westworld, and then I'm going to watch the new episode of Westworld, and I'm thinking of doing like a penultimate review, because after tonight's episode of Westworld, there's only going to be 2 more episodes left of the season, and I really just want to sink my teeth into Westworld before we find out what happens in the last 2 episodes, and I'm so excited! Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I love The Walking Dead. Always a pleasure, never a chore. Click subscribe if you want to see more. Peace out, and I'll see you next time.